First, with Alibaba's just general numbers, how worrying is it that their profitability is being so hit by competition?
It's not that worrying. I think this was very well announced. They were telling us about the investments in 2025 that were going into AI, and they've also announced that that's going to double in 2026. So that probably holds in terms of pressure on income. Some of the numbers were pretty optimistic, and certainly in terms of the AI announcements and what they're doing with their token hub, we see pretty good potential. And again, I think this has been part of a well-announced plan that's in a couple of years of execution right now and seems to be relatively on schedule.
Okay, let's talk about what's on schedule when it comes to AI adoption and competing against, say, like a Tencent. We were just hearing from Yuklang about why Tencent's higher. Many people feeling that the WeChat optionality that it gives you, particularly with OpenClaw and agentic AI penetration, is just far clearer. How is Alibaba going to make sure that its AI tech stack works?
Well, I think there's two things. One, Quen's open source model is incredible. I've got it running on my new M5 laptop right now, and it actually is one of the best models that you can get running locally. So they've got incredible adoption there. And you talk about OpenClaw. And then again, what are these agents and the agentic AI going to be doing? They're going to be buying tokens. So opening up that token hub is great. And let's not forget, I mean, this was their 10th quarter of triple-digit AI revenue. So when they're talking about these massive, ambitious goals of 100 billion in revenue, I think there's a real clear path for them to get there. And, another thing that we notice in China as well is, they may not be dealing with the top models or winning the contest there, but the adoption rates among users, even OpenClaw, a little later adoption there, but now is having more uses, installations inside China than the US. So I think all of those adoption rates in China in general, with the way the AI market looks like, and the willingness of employers now to spend on tokens to enhance the productivity of their offices, I think is very positive and should lend to more triple-digit growth, throughout 2026.
I mean, Jacob, you've always been this great read on the consumer over in Asia and China in particular. What's it like on the streets? The sort of fanfare, the hype around OpenClaw?
It's not just on the streets, it's all over social media. It's pretty amazing. And the levels of innovation that are coming out, they're using different models. It's running so much more locally than the installations did. But it's basically allowed on-premise to come back to being an option. They don't need to, have a very tech background to open up, AWS or Aliyun equivalents. They can actually just go buy older Mac hardware that's readily available on the market and get some of these systems running up in their apartments or houses or offices. So that's really allowed it to go from being maybe having a very technical background to, general acceptance among the masses.
Why Mac Minis are flying off the shelves, why Raspberry Pi in the UK share prices spiraled higher. Jacob, what though of the pushback from a regulatory perspective? If you own Alibaba, if you own Tencent or any of the Chinese giants, you know about regulatory risk. Well, we're starting to see regulators and state governments slightly push back against OpenClaw just running rife within state-backed businesses.
Well, I would say that would be the case, but the government, in terms of where we operate in Jiangsu and Zhejiang, just outside of Shanghai, there's been very supportive. There's even been local government classes, for getting people to set these up, so we've never seen adoption from the governments like that. So I don't think that there might be some security with OpenClaw, but let's not also forget Moonshot launched KimiClaw too. So there's going to be alternatives that do roughly the same thing. That might be just a little bit more suited to the Chinese market too, as well. A little bit more firewall compatible as well.
Let's just therefore put this all in context, Jacob. As the brands that you work with are looking to access an Asian buyer, as people are looking to take on the various ways of getting to consumers via chatbots, how does that landscape look for you right now?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of AI in general, it's made accessing Asia way more easy. The chatbots are probably not the best way to interact with your customers at that point, but being able to use, generative, so, you're maybe taking model shots for China and being able to adjust them for Japan and Korea, not having to do 3 shoots, for example, being able to change your languages, being able to interact with your customers in multiple languages throughout Asia has really kind of laid economies of scale to being able to get access to the entire region and not looking at this like, maybe 12 different markets and more looking at it like just a couple. AI is going to make that easier and easier, and inventory projections. We're looking at social media now to see, what, might be selling really well in the summer. All these things are really helping, brands get access to the market at cheaper, or a smaller barrier to entry than they were doing pre-AI.
Who else should a potential marketeer be wanting to access Asia be looking at? Look, we talked Alibaba, Tencent, but there are plenty of other options.
Well, K is one of the best on-premise models that exists out there too, and that's by Moonshot. So there's just a ton. I mean, we have an office in Hangzhou too, and there's just AI companies all around us. I mean, DeepSeek's not too far from Alibaba. Douyin's sandwiched in between them. RedNote's in that neighborhood. So there's just a whole environment of innovation, very similar to what's been going on in Silicon Valley. So, we don't know all of the total winners, but the barrier to entry, again, with AI, it's smaller and smaller. DeepSeek was launching, their models with only 125 people. So we would expect a lot more innovation and it's going to be an exciting year. That's for sure.